Looks like you lost another one.
Oh, the moment you all have been waiting for you ELF fans. It's Summer Showcase. I'm Michael Washington. He's Randy Schrader. We've got 2 episodes left tonight and 2 weeks from now. It's crazy. Nuts, man. It's nuts. ELF season's winding down. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to all the playoff teams. Thanks for giving us a really good playoff, so far. And hopefully the championship game lives up to it. Now, speaking about the championship game, Randy, did you know, and I'm sure you did because you pay attention.
I did pretty bad trivia last week, so
this is true. You did do pretty bad. This was the first ever meeting between the Rhine Fire and the Vienna Vikings.
Nice. That goes to show you that the league needs to do a better job of scheduling.
Correct. They absolutely do. This is the first ever meeting between the Rhine Fire and the Vienna Vikings, and it comes in the 2024 championship game of year 4 of the ELF. So we haven't had a repeat champion, have we? No, right? So the Rhine has a chance to do something that nobody's done yet. Yep. Get a little back, not only back to back, but getting 2 championships in there. They have a chance to strike two history records in one setting, right?
And how about the Vienna Vikings going back to the championship? Their second time in the championship game in 3 years of existence in the ELF.
Yeah, back 2 out of 3, so good for them. Rhine 2 out of 3, so got a bunch of 2 out of 3s here. Meatloaf would be really happy right now. Come on, it was too easy. It was like a layup. I had to take it.
Hey, we should have a good. We should hopefully have a good championship game.
First and foremost, did Jamal get you his push-ups?
You know what? Let me check. X.
I don't even know if Jamal's here. To be honest with you,
Jamal's hiding after.
I haven't seen a comment yet, but that's 30 he owes you. By the way,
I know he owes me a lot. I felt great about it.
So for you, fans and audience members that have been tuning in and have really intrigued by this push-up storyline between Randy and Jamal, Randy messages me at, I don't know, 11:30, and is like, it's not looking good for me. Hopefully they can close it down for push-ups. And then the next thing you know, Stuttgart loses. And
I don't know if that's what I said. I think I said
it's very close to what you said, Randy.
No, what I said was I'm not worried at all. I think I texted you at halftime. I'm not worried at all.
You did say at the very end that you were not worried. Yeah, but you said it wasn't looking good or something. You were worried. It was a false bravado.
It was. Yeah, I was trying to make myself feel better about it.
But hopefully Jamal will be here and maybe he got some push-ups in. He didn't tag me in a video, so I don't know if he did them yet or not. But
I don't have anything either. So
you want to hear a quick story of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever it is, this 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon or whatever the hell it's called. So my 13-year-old daughter just started 8th grade this year, and her homeroom teacher played with Jamal at UMaine.
Whoa. Yeah, small world.
Isn't that cool?
It is a small world.
It is a very small world. Yes. She comes home and she goes, she comes home and tells my wife, like, hey, my homeroom teacher played, he played with the Lions, he played with the Bears, played up at the CFL with Calgary. And she goes, yeah, he played at UMaine, da-da-da-da-da. And I looked at the age and I was like, hey, that's right around Jamal's age. And guess what? They play the same position too. So I was like, let me hit Jamal up. And Jamal was like, yeah, it was like my bigger brother. And yeah, so that's a nice small little world over there, isn't it?
That is cool. What's his name?
Trevor Costin.
Trevor Costin.
Sure.
Nice.
He played in the backfield at UMaine with McMillan, the guy that was the highest UMaine player ever drafted. He went in the 3rd round to Green Bay.
Yeah.
They all played in that backfield together.
Okay.
So,
That's a
yeah.
pretty good backfield.
That was a really good
Yeah.
backfield. UMaine had a really good defensive team that year. So
Yeah. Well, that's
But
cool.
yeah.
It is a small world. I was talking to someone earlier today that was like, I had no clue that 2 people knew each other randomly from a. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, I didn't realize you and Aaron Ellis knew each other, but I didn't even think about it. You guys played on the same, for the same team, but I didn't realize you guys knew each other before the show that day that Aaron was on. So,
Well, what's even crazier is that he was in my conference in college.
oh, that's nuts! I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it just keeps getting smaller.
By the way, I don't know if Aaron will be listening tonight or not, or if he'll tune in at some point in time. But shout out to him; they did win their first game. I did see that. I've been trying to catch it with the X League here and there, but their years are so weird. Like the league is like year round or like different versions of it, but I sent him a message like prematurely and was like, I've been trying to follow because I follow on X League like through Instagram and stuff. But he was like, oh, our first game's next week, and I was like, well, they're posting a bunch of things, so I'm assuming it must be previous seasons or whatever. But yeah, I did see that he won his first game, so shout out to Aaron on that as well. So
Let's go.
Let's go. We gotta pay homage to everybody around here
Right.
at Shady Sports Network here at the ELF Summer Showcase, for that matter, especially past guests. Gotta have that.
Of course.
So hopefully we do have a guest joining us tonight. I'll mention that if he does end up joining us. If he doesn't, then I'll mention it at the end of the show, and hopefully we can get him on for the championship game or the championship show in 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, we're taking a hiatus next week. Man, this is your show, man. I'm just, you tell me.
Randy,
if whatever Big Mike tells me to do, I'm there. So.
Randy,
do we have a show next week or not?
We do not have a show next week.
Okay. All right.
No. Randy, this is just as much your show as it is mine.
No.
Yes.
Not
yes. I just am the constant because sometimes life gets busy. Mine's not as busy as yours.
Mike is the constant for everybody. I'm just here. I'm just here riding Mike's coattails and having a good time doing it.
I wish it was that. I wish it was like that, but I'm more or less riding your coattails, Randy. So it's cool. I appreciate that. So
I'm blushing.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I think everybody can see that right now.
Am I really?
No, you're not.
Okay. I was like, I maybe got sunburned today. I don't know.
No, your light's too bright. Yeah, your light's too bright, so you can't even see. It's giving you away. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's actually on the lowest. It's on the lowest setting it can be.
Oh, I wasn't actually being serious. Oh wow, yeah. And we just blinded Randy on TV on live stream. Yep, we certainly did that.
Was there football games this past weekend, or?
I don't know. Was there?
There were.
Couple, yeah.
Couple.
Where you just got tired of the small talk? Is that what happened there? You're like, we're just
I was
moving on from it.
I was pumped to talk about the crazy game, but I feel like we probably should start with the other one.
Well,
they're both good.
Both games were excellent. We'll start with the first one just because it's just in chronological order. But Paris against Vienna, a 47-31 victory for Vienna, puts them in the championship game. This game was really, really good, and I thought Paris played really well for a good chunk. It's just you could see the coaching differential of one team that's been there and one team that hasn't, or at least that's how I viewed it. I don't know about you. Zach Edwards played really well. It's just the defense kind of let him down.
Yeah. I was texting back and forth with a defensive coordinator in the league, and he was texting me in the first half of the game or around halftime, and he said they need to stop playing around and let Zach take matters into his own hands. And that's what I felt like is the first half Paris was – it's almost like they were trying to there we go, Jamal. Yeah, we almost it felt like Paris was trying Zach Edwards got him to that game. He's the only reason they were there. And you got to let him run the ball 12 times a game and throw the ball 40. That's the only chance you have, right? And then Chris Vombo breaking off a few good runs. That's your entire offense. That's your entire game plan. And it felt like in the first half, they were just they were trying to feel out their way in a semifinal game when it could have been them throwing the first punches. And And I just feel like because of that, they were just always playing from behind. I think that was the point of what the defensive coordinator was saying. That's what I kind of saw in the game. And then you're right, Michael. The Vienna has a extremely veteran team. And I had the chance to play against them in 2022. That was the most in sync team that I got to play against. They just everything fired on all cylinders. You can see it from the homegrowns, especially. Like they're brought up playing with the Vienna Vikings at 10 years old, getting taught the same things that 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 they're being taught when they're 25 years old playing on the ELF team, and it shows. And I think that's the difference. Is you just have a team in Paris that is their second year in the league, and they're really dependent on their quarterback, whereas Vienna has a well-rounded football team that's established and has been doing their thing for a while.
Yeah, and I think it showed with the defense towards, primarily the second half of this game, because the second quarter got away, but the third quarter kind of went in Paris's direction, right? Like they scored 2 touchdowns in that quarter, but Vienna never really kind of like panicked, even when the door was kind of closing a little bit on them. They kind of held point to where they were in the lead, and they weren't going to relinquish it no matter what. As soon as they were up 7-6, even Paris scored in the first quarter, and that extra point was blocked, or it was blocked, I believe. So they were like, nope, you're not going to tie this game. And it just felt like the Vienna just never really kind of worried too much, even when Paris kind of put some momentum together. And that was the sign of that veteran team that you were just talking about.
Yeah, when we played them, when I was playing in Stuttgart, we were heavy underdogs. We did not have a great year, and we went into Vienna and caught them off guard a little bit. I think we went into halftime. It was either tied or we were down by 3. I can't remember, but it was way too close for their liking. And I think we ended up losing by 25 points or something. But they never once panicked. And even when they were up in the fourth quarter, all of their starters were in.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show, like, we were hoping for a win, and that's a team that knows how to win and expects to win football games. And that's where Paris is just they had never been there before, whereas you could tell Vienna had.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I think overall that was really telling in this game. And it was really the first thing that I noticed. Like you said, it was a kind of like a well-oiled machine. Like these guys were deep. They, Vienna's playing ball, like you said, they start doing it at a young age. And Jamal even says something that Vienna culture, that everyone stays in Vienna, save the imports. Homegrown, 90%, 93% of the team played in the championship game 2 years ago. So, once again, shout out to my unofficial producer Jamal, who we found out that in a circle of life, connected somehow earlier this week. And then Sam looks like he's with us here right now. What's up, Sam? Apparently Jamal's the only one that gets a shout out, though. Nobody else gets a shout out here from Sam. What an asshole. But so Ben Holmes played really, really well as well. It's just something that we've talked about a lot. I know there's a lot of people pushing for him to be the MVP of the league. He's really playing at a top level since he's come back from injury, and I've never seen something sustain that long for a guy to be on the hot streak that long. Is it something that you think could possibly wear out in the final against Ryan? Well, before we get to our predictions a little bit later, you don't have to go too in depth on that. So I just don't know what your thoughts are, because I feel like that some point in time that momentum has got to kind of sputter, you would think, right?
I think the Vienna offense is really good, and I think Ben Holmes is really good. I've said this since he came back from injury, after a couple of weeks of watching him throw after coming back from injury, but he is the best pure passer in the league. And what I mean by that is just the anticipation he throws with, the way he can put the ball in any spot that he wants to on the field is fun to watch. He also can move a little bit and get out of trouble just enough to make things happen. So I think he is the best pure passer. I think Zach Edwards is the best athlete at quarterback. And so I'm not surprised at all that he's kind of on the streak that he is, and I'm not surprised they're in this game. I I don't think that necessarily the hot streak will end, and we can get into this when we preview the game. But I think it is a game where he is going to have to play perfect.
He is going to have to play perfect there. Nice little preview to the preview later on. I like that little preview. All right, let's get to the good game. I mean, both games were really good, but let's get to the game that you're itching to talk about because I can see it on your face. You're excited over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a heck of a game.
this was a great game. Probably, and this is the type of game that I feel like both these games really. I feel like these are the games that the ELF is missing during the regular season.
Yeah.
Right. These are the kinds of games that the ELF should be striving to get towards the regular season more often, right? Like because these are the games that draw the interest in. These are the games that bring the interest in. And both these games were proof of that. Even though Vienna's game was in control pretty much from start to end, it was still a really good game. This game, on the other hand, was a game that you want to show a friend and be like, this is what the ELF is about, right? If you sat down with somebody for the first time and said, hey, boom, this is what the ELF is about. This is a game that you would show them in the rain, and they were making plays all over the field. What were your thoughts about this one?
First of all, what a game. Second of all, you're right. That is what football is supposed to be. The weather wasn't perfect. It's playoff football. There's some mistakes. There's muffed snaps. There's some bad interceptions, etc. But in the end, the Ryan Fire were the better team. And Jamal might disagree with me on this.
He did disagree with you.
That's Stuttgart's better, but the Ryan Fire played a terrible game for 3.5 quarters. They played probably their worst game of the year outside of Madrid or Berlin the week after. Probably not even as bad as the Berlin game. But they did not play well, and Glenn Tunga was out for a better part of the fourth quarter where they scored most of their points to go up and tie the game. So to me, this is what you get when you watch really, really great teams play. And I'm not saying that Stuttgart doesn't have overall better depth than them. I'm not saying that Stuttgart has worse players than them. I'm saying that the Ryan Fire are a great football team. Stuttgart's a good football team. But you watch, you can be a Patriots fan or not, but all those years watching the Patriots where you just knew they're going to be in the game late because they know how to win these types of games. And that's what I felt like watching this. I think I did. I was a little nervous. I didn't always think they were going to come back and win, but I did know that they were going to have. No part of me doubted that they weren't going to have the ball on a final drive to try and do something with to tie a game or win, and they did. Now they got a few bounces. And we can dive into the collapse of Riley Hennessy, which I feel horrible for him. I was talking with somebody in the Ryan Fire organization. They just said I feel bad for that quarterback, and I do too, because it might be his last game, and I get it. Like in college, my last throw was a pick in the red zone, and I'm glad that I had more football after that. So. Two really bad decisions that cost him the game, but that doesn't down. I don't want to downplay the great season that Riley Hennessy had, but against any other team, and I would maybe even throw in Vienna there, against any other team, you make those mistakes in that game, in that situation, the Surge probably still win, but you cannot do that against the Ryan Fire.
Well, and I wanted to bring that up real quick because, Jamal talked about which quarterback do you trust, and I put Riley Hennessy at 4 on this list, which it was very close, but I had put him at 4 on this list, and I don't want to say that I feel validated because I feel awful for the guy, right? But those 2 throws at the end of that game, those were the 2 worst throws I think he threw all year long. Like even with everything, because it's not like it was a tip pass interception. It's not like it was just a really bad read, right? Like I don't play quarterback, so but I saw it from where I was sitting, and maybe I'm armchair quarterbacking his decision or for what he saw or whatever. But from where I looked and saw, it didn't look like it was a very good decision. I'll also go on record and say that I really honestly hope that Riley Hennessy's not done. I don't know if that's going to be a personal choice by him or whatever, but I'm hoping we see more football from him because I think he is a really good quarterback, and I think he is a championship caliber quarterback. I hope he's not done. And Jamal, to do this, this was a Stuttgart loss. Oh, we got some highlights going on in the background.
I was trying to pull up the all 22 film to pull up that pick that he had, not in overtime in the fourth quarter, but
Oh, yeah,
can't
no,
turn off my sounds. It's all good. My apologies.
no, you're good. You're good. And to answer your question, Jamal, I think Stuttgart lost the game more than it was really Ryan. But here's the thing that makes Ryan also really, really good. If you the Jim Tomsula, obviously as a head coach, that I feel like is awesome to have. Um, kind of coaching this team, right? Like you got a talented team around them, and then you have an NFL like experienced coach that was that experienced, right? This game felt like an NFL style game from a Ryan standpoint, where they didn't play their best game, but they didn't let the game get out of hand. And then at the very end, they were able to put together a Ryan Fire type game on defense and offense and tie the game and then win the game. And I think it all started with that final drive in the first half when they were down 20-7, I believe, and they
Mhm.
scored that touchdown right at the end of the half to go in 20-13. So I think that drive alone was the key drive in this game because the momentum shifted from there. I feel like even though it was a scoreless third.
Yeah, I feel like the momentum shifted to me watching it when Stuttgart fumbled in their own end zone, when they probably should have scored on that drive. That
Yeah,
was when things started to go downhill in the fourth quarter. But you're right. I think that going into halftime, that drive gave them a little spark. Like, hey, we're not out of this game, and it just felt like they never. When you get into a game like that and you're not playing your best, but you are still driving the football, you're just making mistakes like they did in the beginning. It's a couple sacks, a couple bad picks. Um, Glenn Tunga turns the ball over. You just say to yourself, we're moving the ball. So it's literally one drive, one play at a time. And we'll look up when there's double zeros on the clock and see where we're at. But it just looked like that's what they did. They just kind of grinded it out. Whereas Stuttgart, it just looked like um, they were flailing a little bit there at the end instead of trying to put the game away. They definitely panicked a little bit. I mean, and it all culminated in that interception overtime
yeah,
because the pick on the slant, I'm not sure. That's why I was trying to pull up the all 22 film. I couldn't tell watching the game, and they didn't show that many replays of it where I could see it. Paul is the receiver out there. He was awesome. He's my receiver in Stuttgart. I couldn't tell. I'm not trying to throw him on the bus. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not in those meetings. But I couldn't tell if he stopped his route short or if it was a bad ball. I honestly don't know. So I'll kind of chalk that pick up to like it happens. But
yeah.
the one in overtime, that cannot happen. It
No,
just can't. That ball's got to get thrown away 10 out of 10 times. And the thing that makes it even worse was to me, and I might be wrong. I want to find that film, but maybe Jamal had a better look at it. But it looked maybe like a RPO, like a run pass option, like he had the option to hand it off. And we know why are we not just handing the ball off here, right? Kind of situational football. So uh, that one to me is pretty inexcusable. But I hope he's back to play another season.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I would love to see it, and because I know that he doesn't, and it doesn't take away from, like you said, the great season that Riley Hennessy had, But those two last picks are going to be a lot of things that Stuttgart fans are going to have, for his imagery, and realistically speaking, it should be that he kind of led the charge on the turnaround for this team, right? Like, not to open up sore wounds for you, but the team prior to him coming in was pretty awful. So for him to come in, 2 years ago and kind of take the helm over, lead them to a championship game, and then be right on the cusp of doing it for a second year in a row, like that should be what Riley Hennessy's really remembered for more than anything else. And I hope he comes back. If he retires, maybe we can get him on the show and he can come here and replace you if you can't come back next year, or if Bryce can't come back next year. And I mean, let's say I said replace. Nobody can replace you, Randy. Can kind of sit in and take your spot for you.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be the first time in Stuttgart, right? I think that Riley Hennessy is a great quarterback, and I think he's been a great quarterback in Europe for a long time. And you're right. I meant to say that from the get-go was he and Jordan Newman had everything to do with turning that program completely around, and they did. So none of that. We should not take that away from the last couple minutes of that game. But you can't do that against the Rhine Fire.
No.
At the end of the day. And that's what you were watching, a team that is extremely well coached, has great players. And I mean, we're not talking about it at all, but without Jadrian Clark, that comeback doesn't happen either. I mean, he didn't put the ball in harm's way for 2 quarters. And that's what he needed to do. Whatever they needed to do to win, he did it. And that's what great quarterbacks do.
Yeah, and honestly, at the end of the day, we'll talk a little bit more about the Glenn Tunga not really being a factor in this game, but Jadrian in the Rhine Fire still finding a way to win this game goes to a testament again to how well coached this team is and how good this team truly is. Because Jadrian Clark didn't play his best of games. Because like you said, they didn't play really good football for 3.5 quarters really overall, but they found a way to do it when it mattered the most. And that includes the defensive side of things, right? The interception, because still, even though Hennessy threw the pick, as a defensive back, you still have to catch that ball, right? You still have to make that read. You still have to make sure you secure it, all that stuff, right? So shout out to Ryan, because even though this may have been just as much a Stuttgart collapse, this was also a really good Rhine victory.
I mean, right? Stuttgart was inches away from recovering the fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. Yep. Right. So there's just you do have to get some bounces your way. But I was talking with somebody, like I said, in the Rhine Fire organization. He said sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I said, well, I don't believe in luck. I mean, I think that it's funny how the really good people or teams tend to be the really lucky ones, right? That's just how it goes. So that they're a great team, and that was on full display. Really, that last kind of 8-10 minutes of football there.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the things that, that can't go understated is that if you're that good and you're that lucky, it's hard to beat you. Right, like it's really hard to beat you, because if you're really that good and you're on top of that getting all the bounces your way and stuff, then like what can you really do to stop somebody from winning a game like that, right?
And I think the only thing that's a shame is that these teams didn't meet again in the championship, because
yes, I
do believe these are the 2 best teams in the league.
Yeah, you had said that too. You said that as well, and I'm inclined to believe you after this game. I'm inclined to believe that you may be onto something there. I still think Vienna is number 2, but we'll see what happens when they play Rhine for the first time ever in the championship game. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsor. When we come back on the flip side of it, we'll get into our previews, predictions for the championship game, wrap it up, put a nice little bow on this show, and maybe get Jamal's predictions. Maybe we'll get the Jamal push-ups finally. All 30 of them. Didn't want to rub salt in the wound there, Jamal. I'm sorry, but but on the flip side, we'll come back with the previews and predictions for this championship game. This is our word from Current.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school. Oh, wow. This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I use to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
Make sure you hit up Current. Make sure you use our code as well in there and, use it to buy things, especially from ckcustoms.com.
That's right.
Yeah, our unofficial sponsor. Buy local. That's what I always say. Buy local.
Yeah, what does she need to do to sponsor the show? I guess she doesn't need to. She gets free advertising all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, she gets free. I mean, we can try to put together a nice little graphic where we can rhinestone the outside of our screen boxes and see if that will help. Maybe a little CK Custom somewhere on the corner or something. If you guys throw a commercial together, we can upload it and we'll put it on. I'll just run it on all my shows moving forward. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me any. Hey, I'm trying to help you guys out.
Hey, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. She's right now rhinestoning the football for the Green Bay Packers owner, and we were watching the game yesterday, and she's like, "Who is this football going to? The Packers don't even have an owner." I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess maybe their president. I don't.
Is it going to the mayor?
Yeah, who is it going to?
The governor?
Yeah, whoever has the most money in Green Bay.
Apparently Jamal says it's going to be a push-up commercial.
Oh, are we going to have differing opinions on this championship game? Because I might times it by 20, Jamal.
Well, what's the record at right now?
3-3, right?
3-3. So you got
3-2. 3-3.
3-2.
I don't know. I think maybe it's 2-2. I don't know.
Well, we'll count the championship as double, and then you guys will. So if you guys make a 5 bet, it's 10. How about that?
I feel like we're going to be aligned on this.
Yeah, I got a feeling you might be too. Unless Jamal just wants to be,
Come on, Jamal.
devil's advocate for the sake of being devil's advocate. So I'm not sure. Anyways,
make it interesting, Jamal. Make it interesting.
The Shady Sports workout plan or whatever it was, workout fitness program. That's it.
See, gambling is good for you.
Yeah. Unless you're doing 50. What was the max 52? Is that what you had to do?
I think I did 47.
47?
Yeah. It was a lot. My arms were hurting for about 30 minutes into the show. So I'm glad I don't have to do that. I'm glad that Jamal's the one that has to do 30.
Yeah, I think it's 3-2, Jamal. I think you're down by 1. So if you double the championship game and you win, then you will win the series and the push-ups 4-3. So just something to keep in mind when we get to this. Randy's like, okay, all right. Well,
I'm down.
First ever meeting. Jadrian Clark versus Ben Holmes in the championship game. The Rhine Fire looking to repeat, do double-double. Back-to-back, be the first team ever to win 2 and go back-to-back. Meanwhile, Vienna on the flip side of this is looking to be the first team to win 2, wouldn't be back-to-back. So we are going to have our first double champion in this game at some point, in some capacity. All right, so Vienna and Rhine, what are your thoughts? I got an idea. I know where you're going here, but what are your thoughts?
I think when you take a look at both of these teams, and you look at them on paper, you go, is this the same team? 2 storied franchises in Europe, check. 2 great rosters, check. I think that you have really good quarterback play on both sides. You have really good athletes on both sides of the ball, catching the ball. I think both teams up front are very formidable. I think that the coaching on both sides is very good. I might give a slight edge to the Rhine Fire just because of the volume of good amount of coaches they have, but the Vikings have very good coaches as well. I think what it comes down to me is, from what I have seen the last half of the season with the Vienna Vikings defense, I can't trust them. And that to me is why I think that it would be really tough to pick against the Rhine Fire in this game, simply because everything else almost even considered. Vienna's going to score points, but can they stop the Rhein Fire offense? And they haven't been able to stop a lot of teams this year. And the reason I said earlier is Vienna and Ben Holmes has to play a perfect game is because the defense, they put up a stinker like they did earlier in the season against Helvetic or something like that. The Rhein Fire don't beat Helvetic by 9 points, even on their worst day. And that's what makes me a little nervous for the Vienna Vikings going into this game.
I have a tendency to agree with you, but here's the thing about Vienna, though, that is fairly similar to what we just talked about with Ryan in the game against Stuttgart, right? Is even when the defense is off, they're finding ways to win games. This offense is still putting up numbers. They can go with any team if it comes down to a shootout. They can turn a team, they can turn a game into a shootout if their defensive team is not playing up to par, just because they're that good on the offensive side of the ball. I think both these teams kind of mirror each other. I think Ryan, I agree with you a little bit, like you said, like might have a slight edge in defense, but I agree with you across the board that it's basically like the Spider-Man meme of these two teams just pointing at each other, right? So then it just comes down to quarterback play on the offensive side of things, and you have to give the edge to Ben this year. Like Jadrian has not played his best ball this year, so it does come back down to who do you trust the most in this situation, right? It goes back to that question we had pre-playoffs, and who do you trust more, Holmes or Clark? And I give the edge to Clark only because of the fact that he's been there and done that before, where Holmes is a rookie. But like you said, Holmes is the best pure passer probably in this league. So who do you give that edge to?
Yeah, I think that's what's tough is because I think it's a little more nuanced because I would take a look at who do I trust more at quarterback? Yes, but both of these guys are really good quarterbacks. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. Jadrian,
Yeah.
I think Ben Holmes is probably the more talented of the two, but you also are talking about someone in Jadrian Clark who has played for this is what his fourth season now in the ELF. He's won a championship. If you saw him in the Stuttgart game, and we said last week, if you want to watch great quarterback play, if you want to watch two guys that are in control out there, then watch the Rhein Fire Stuttgart Surge game. And Jadrian Clark was in control. You watch him; he's in the huddle. He's telling guys what to do. He's at the line of scrimmage. He's making checks. He's putting his team in the best position to win. Does Ben Holmes, with having missed the time that he did, he just doesn't have the experience of a Jadrian Clark with the same team over an extended period of time. So for me, I think that defense does come into play a little bit. So if yes, you're saying maybe Ben Holmes is a little more talented, but I think you also have to take into account the defenses that they're playing against. And Jadrian Clark is playing against the Vienna defense, which has a formidable front seven, great front four, a little iffy on the back end sometimes, whereas Ben Holmes is playing against an overall very, very solid Rhein Fire defense.
Who's your difference maker in this game outside of the quarterbacks? There's an on-the-spot question for you. Oh, you haven't answered. Look at that. That was quick thinking. You knew.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think for me, I want to know how healthy Glenn Tunga is. He was obviously banged up at the end of the Stuttgart Surge game. And so you talk about probably the MVP of the league this year and the biggest X factor going into the game. I mean, there's no way he's not playing. Maybe Jamal actually should probably chime in here because he has more insider knowledge than we do. But he played a little off, but I've never seen him play 2 off games in a row. And if he's healthy and ready to go, that's something that the Rhein Fire did not have last week. They did not have their great running game. How many times did we see them fall short on 3rd and short or 4th and short? They convert those any other game. So that's, to me, if the Rhein Fire have their run game going and can keep Ben Holmes off the field, it's going to be a long day for Vienna, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet as far as Glenn is concerned, but I've been kind of keeping a close eye on it. Hopefully, we'll get some kind of update as to what his so apparently it's I'm assuming that meant to say can and not college, but apparently he can confirm that he will play. The 2 weeks off definitely will probably help.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, like having that 2 weeks off to help with what it is. For me, it's Kofi. I think Kofi's the X factor in this game because, like you were just saying, the Vienna secondary has been kind of a soft spot for this defense, and Kofi's really come on late for this team. You mentioned about the run game, and what's crazy about the lack of run game against Stuttgart was that game was in the rain,
Yeah.
and they still couldn't get the run game really going, right? Like that's usually like when us offensive linemen, like we want to run that ball and maul people. You know, that's I always loved playing in the rain, and it happened often up here. But they just could not get it going, and that's very well can't go understated to Stuttgart's defense too, right? Like Stuttgart's defense was one of the best in the league all year long. So um, if Ryan struggles on offense, I think it's going to come down to Kofi as being the X factor in this game. You know, how healthy is Tunga? Like you said, 2 weeks off should hopefully put him back near 100%. But Kofi, for me, I think is a guy who is a difference maker. When he has the opportunity and chance to make the plays, he maximizes his opportunities. And there's not a lot of other receivers in this league that can do that. And Jadrian trusts him, and Jadrian finds him. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think Kofi is potentially could be the X factor in this one. So that's the reason why I wanted to bring it up. I also didn't want to go with Tunga because I figured you were going to go Tunga.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks for not stealing my thunder there. But I agree with you 100%. I mean, you look at what they have on the outside, and if Glenn Tunga's going, it's tough to stop. What do? You load the box, great. Now we got 4 great receivers for the Rhine Fire on one-on-one, like running down the field wide open. I think for Vienna, the X factor for me is Reese Horn. If they can find a way to get him open, like Stuttgart got Stewart open earlier in the game, then that's the best chance that Vienna has to keep this game close for as long as possible. Hope that Ryan makes a few mistakes, and then all of a sudden we got ourselves a pretty good ball game.
Yeah, so I don't steal your thunder when it comes to Ryan, but you just go ahead and just steal mine like it was nothing, and I get a half-assed apology out of the deal. I see how it is. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't know we were going there.
I'm messing with you. For me, it's actually Jordan Bua. I agree. I agree. No. I agree with you about Reese. And again, Reese Horn is a guy who obviously is a difference maker, especially in this league. But for me, if Vienna's not getting play from their wide receiver 2 in this game, and they're struggling to run the ball and keep the Rhine offense off the field, because let's be honest, if Vienna was smart, which I think they're well coached, and I think that they're a really good team, they're going to do what they can to minimize the Rhine offensive series, right? Like they're going to try to find a way to limit how many times Rhine has for drives. So they very well may come out with a very controlled game as well, which plays really well into Reese's hands. But Jordan Bua is a guy who I feel like can take the top off of defense. He's the guy who I feel like can make that big play. So if you're able to control the line of scrimmage and play a 7 to 9 yard game with Reese Horn and be successful with it, you're going to get 2 to 3, maybe even 4 chances at Bua down the field for 15, 20, 30 plus yards. Just with the way that Vienna plays the game and with how aggressive Ryan can be on defense. So for me, it's Jordan Bua. Because similar to Kofi on the other side with Ryan, I feel like he is a guy who has the ability to maybe not necessarily take over the game, but really separate the game for Vienna.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He is amazing to watch. He is very, very, very fast. And he's probably he's one of the fastest guys in the league, bar none. And I think the question that Jamal is asking is very poignant. How He said, "How does Vienna attack a defense with two of the best American safeties in the league, Amari Williams and Franklin?" And I think, Jamal, what I would say if I were the offensive coordinator is I would do exactly what Stuttgart did last game. Is they went after those Rhine Fire corners, and you could see how frustrated the homegrown corners were getting. And nothing against the homegrown corners. Some of those guys are really, really good players. Obviously, if you're starting on the Ron Fire, you're a pretty darn good player. But they were getting very, very frustrated in the secondary there in the first half because they were just Hennessy and Stewart were just picking them apart, and all they were doing was isolating Stewart on a corner and going after him. All you could tell was just some option routes. If the corner dropped out, boom, he sat it up. If he played hard, then he ran either like a kind of like a cover two fade or just try to take the top off. And I think that's what you have to. That's the only way to play against two American safeties is isolate your best guys on their corners and then hope that your run game is going. Because if your run game is going, now all of a sudden those safeties have to get involved in the run game, which you saw against Stuttgart. And then you have those one-on-one opportunities on your non-A corners, your homegrown corners. And that's Vienna's best shot. And I think they do have a chance to do that. I think they do have a very good offensive line. They can get their run game going. And then Rhine Fire on defense is in trouble. When you got Reese Horn and Bua going up one-on-one against homegrown corners.
Yeah, and I'm gonna echo that as well because I feel like that if for me it starts at that like 7 to 9 range, like I mentioned a minute ago about Reese, right? Like if you can attack that and find success on second and third downs in that 7 to 9 yard range with your tight end, what's the tight? Is it Beer Bomber that's there in Vienna? No, is it Beer Bomber
Yeah, that dude's
in Vienna?
If it
He's an
is,
absolute monster.
yeah,
If you can get
so good.
he's so good. If you can get Beer Bomber and Reese to kind of attack the middle of the field, I feel like those linebackers, those safeties are going to have to start coming up. And I think that that's when you can go over the top with Jordan Bua, especially with his speed. So that's kind of where I was alluding to with Bua is because if you can get those safeties to kind of creep up and cheat a little bit, I think that you can expose, like you said, the cornerbacks, but you can also uh, expose the seams for like Beer Bomber or Bua from the slot. So
yeah, it's going to be tough to guard
like,
a tight end and two great receivers. I'm just saying that's how you're right. I mean, that's how you attack them. One of those safeties has to key in on your great tight end for Vienna, and then someone's going to be whether it's Reese Horn or Bua is going to be on a homegrown, and you have to hit those kind of 50-50 balls 75% of the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you're cooking as Vienna, and you can mix in a little bit of run game.
Yep.
That's how you beat the Rhine Fire.
Yep, I agree 100%. And you brought up a great point about the homegrown corners and Stuttgart's game plan, and I completely agree with that. And I think there's an opportunity for Vienna in the middle of that field against the linebackers if they can get those safeties to creep up a little bit, right? That's really realistically where I think that they have, the best option for that as well. So,
I mean, you just have so many options as Vienna. If you want to double it, man, I could talk game plan all day. But let's say you want to, you do want to, Jamal, like you're saying, play cover two, and kind of play over the top of two great receivers in Reese Horn or Bua, like you're saying, Mike. You got a tight end running open against a homegrown linebacker. I'll take that as Ben Holmes all day long, right? And then you have if you can get the ball to your back in space and cover two, then all of a sudden, and you can run the ball and cover two, those safeties have to come up, and now you have your chances one-on-one on the outside with Reese Horn and Bua on homegrowns. That's the game that Vienna has to play.
Yeah. And that I'm thinking about it, Beer Bomber may actually be a great choice for a difference maker for Vienna in this game too, because I think he's a mismatch against any linebacker in the league and on any team. So, Can we just take 1 second? I just want to give a shout out to Jamal for his awesome usage of emojis. By the way,
Yeah, right.
Riley Hennessy's just like a drink cup and beer bomb, where he's got a beer and like a bomb thrown up there. His emoji game's on point. Yeah, and again, it sounds like we're hyping up Vienna, like Vienna's going to roll with this game. It's giving a strategy standpoint and a game plan standpoint that could work for Vienna, right? Like, because that's realistically the way that we are. That's realistically the way that I'm sure that they're looking at it as far as how to tackle this game too, as well, right? Ryan has these same options on the offensive side of the ball as well. Like, we could go through and talk about how they could turn around and find their best game plan. But right now, I will say that between the two teams, Ryan is a little more one-dimensional than Vienna is, because they rely so heavily on Glenn Tunga.
I would agree with that. But I think what gives you a little bit of hope is that Glenn Tunga was out in a game in the rain and Jadrian Clark still let him back. But I do, Mike, I think you're absolutely right. If you're looking at this from Vienna's perspective, on how do you give yourself the best chance to win, I'm loading the box and I'm saying, Jadrian Clark, come beat me with your arm.
Yeah.
And that's a risky proposition. And that is not,
for sure.
Look, it's a crappy position to be in, because the chances are Jadrian Clark is going to beat you with his arm, with all those weapons. But that's how you have to play this game. It just is. Unfortunately, pick your poison, kind of. Do you want, hey, if Jadrian Clark hits a couple deep posts, Qualfie or whoever, then at least you get the ball back and they didn't take too much time off the clock? Or do you want the Rhein Fire running 12-play, 7-minute drives and scoring touchdowns and running for an average of 6 yards a carry? I would rather take my chances with my offense getting back on the field and Ben Holmes and Reese Horn and Bua and everybody than playing kind of a time of possession game with the Rhein Fire.
And that might be the shootout thing that I was talking about with Vienna, where maybe they give up or are willing to give up those plays. I would not be surprised if they came out in the first half and, like right off the gate, and, loaded that box and said, hey, Jadrian beat us with your arm for sure. So I don't know if that's what Vienna's game plan is going to be. Maybe they're studying that Stuttgart game or whatever. I just love the fact that, Caroline was in the background getting that water and just staring at the camera the whole time. Like, yeah, no, but I maybe that's what they do. I just think it's their best strategy, like you said, to kind of load that box, load everything up, risk getting burnt for that 60-yard touchdown, because like you said, when it comes time for that clock, right? Like, you want as little time off that clock as possible, so that way Ben Holmes can get on the field as well. This is a very good point that I did not think of as far as Flamor Simon for I'm sure, I don't know, I didn't said that right. I said it with more of a French accent, but for Ryan, like, that's going to be a great game within the game to watch, with Simon and Beer Bomber. So
yeah,
that'll be fun. All right, now we're here. We're at the moment. Let's see, what can we do here? Should I let Jamal go first, so you can then pick based upon him, or are you just not going to? Are you not going to change no matter what?
I'm not changing.
Okay.
I'm not changing. Although, yeah, I won't say anything. Oh,
we'll go with you.
Pick first.
We'll go with you. You can go
Okay.
first. We'll let you pick. Okay, let's
After talking
predictions for
through
the championship game. Big French Mike.
Yeah, Big French Mike.
No, that's what he just called me.
After talking through everything, now I'm like talking myself into Vienna. After we're talking about the game plan that they put together.
Assuming that's the game plan they put together. Hopefully that's the game plan they put together.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I had a little show that I would do back when I got out of playing with the Surge in 2022, and Vienna won the championship that year. And we sat there, me and David Meza, we did a little show, and we said, this is what Vienna's game plan should be. They did that exact same thing, and they won. We picked the score almost exactly right too. Both of us did for that game. So I am talking myself into Vienna here. I just think that I give the slight edge to the Rhein Fire when it comes to coaching. Again, not that the Vienna Vikings don't have great coaches. They do. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the sheer volume of good coaches is something that can't be taken lightly. It obviously showed up last week, last game against the Stuttgart Surge. And then also you talk about quarterbacks you trust. I trust both of these guys, but Jadrian Clark has been there. You said that. And there's something to that. This will be his third championship game. There's been 4 championship games. that's crazy to think about. So I'm taking the Rhein Fire, and I do think that it will be a high-flying, high-scoring game, very similar to the championship game last year. So give me the Rhein Fire 43 and the Vienna Vikings 32.
Does Caroline have a prediction?
Caroline, what's your prediction? I said Rhein wins by 9 in a high-scoring game. That's a lot of points. This is a lot of points in a championship game. I don't know if I feel good about that. Jamal says that Glenn Tunga is going to be healthy and ready to go. Yeah, Jamal, do you know what's wrong with him? It's also Caroline just asked. You're the
with Tunga?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure what's wrong with him. I'm not sure. Jamal has a really good track record with championship picks, so if he picks like you're gonna lose. I'm just letting you know. Apparently, according to this. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, Jamal. I thought the Rhein Fire were gonna win that game against Hamburg. I also think David and I both said it was gonna be a 2-score game.
Rhein Fire 35-28.
Rhein Fire wins 35-28.
35-20, a very traditional NFL score for you. All right. Well, I'll let Jamal go last. I was very close to picking Vienna in this game. Very close. I mean, like, so much so that I'm still thinking about picking Vienna. However, it's hard to pick against Jadrian. It's hard to pick against that coaching staff. It's hard to pick against that defense. If Vienna goes with the game plan that you and I were talking about, I think Vienna wins this game. However, I don't know if they're going to be able to, because I think Rhein's too good. I'm going to take Rhein in a high-scoring affair as well. A lot of points on the board. I'm going to say 41-39. Rhein. 80 points scored in this championship game. 80 points. That'd be insane. I'm looking for a great game. I think this is going to be a great game. Rhein versus Vienna. 41-39. Rhein. Take it. Put it down. Whatever you want to do. And stretch it into rock. All right, Jamal. All right. Come on, man. We're gonna get the 7, best of 7 here, or what are we doing? He says, I'll say this last time Andrew Weidinger faced the Vikings, he lost. I'm flavoring purple, but not official.
Oh, we have push-ups coming.
Is there a push-up? Is this going to be the Shady Sports fitness plan? Are we going to get some here? I'm just waiting on the Jamal pick, really. Caroline gave us one. Caroline gave us a very true. Well, you know what, though? Vienna and Rhein have probably had like some of the best kicking in all of the ELF.
Yeah.
And now that I said that, they're going to go collectively 2 for 10.
Hey, Rhein Fire's special teams put them in overtime. There, I mean, that was a heck of a kick in the rain.
Yeah, it was. And Rhein's Fire special teams actually laid the blueprint for how the Chicago Bears won their game this weekend against the Tennessee Titans too. So I don't know if you saw that game or not, but it was all special teams basically.
What? I was gonna say you've been harping on special teams and especially kicking all season long.
Yeah, I gave him credit in week 1, and then by week 3, I regretted my decision. So
yeah, you're the one that jinxes it. So let's
jinxed it. I jinxed it so much. Yeah. Which is why when I just said that means collectively they're going to go like 2 for 10 in the in the championship game.
Oh,
wow!
Double digits.
He has it. He's going Skull. Oh, he's going with Vienna. I love it. I love it, Jamal. I love it. But now we have the question: is it double or nothing for the best of series? And what is the push-up bet?
So Jamal's down by 1, right?
So it's 3-2 you. I figure the championship game you can double it. So whoever wins gets the 2 games, and then it doubles whatever you bet on the push-up. So if you bet 5, it's times 10.
Does he have to do double because he's down by 1, or is it just the same across the board?
It's the same across the board.
Okay, so it doesn't matter that I'm up.
So it doesn't
matter I'm up 1.
It does not matter that you're up 1.
Okay.
Because it's the same. It's the same bet across the board. So it's 2 games, and then whatever he says times 6.
I'll do times 6.
So therefore, it's times 12.
Times 12.
Yes, because it's 2 games. It's a 2-game bet. You're doubling everything. So.
Sounds good. Times 12. This is
times 12
for Jamal, because I'm not worried.
Jamal says I'll have push-ups in 24 hours, so they will be there. He needs to stretch out a little bit. He's getting,
Jeez, can you imagine someone loses by 20?
Hey, okay, look, listen. If somebody loses by 20, I'll let y'all work it out. If it's still times 12.
Can we You want to cap it? You want to cap it at 100 push-ups? So we want to do.
That's between you and Jamal.
Jamal, I'll do it. How about this? How about for the championship game, it's 100 push-ups.
Oh, okay, 100 push-ups then.
100 push-ups.
100 push-ups. Woo. Jamal, thoughts?
Do you still want to go with Skull?
Yeah, right. He's like 34-24 Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I'm nervous now.
100? Yeah, see, here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Shady Sports Network fitness plan. Look, love it. He says. Even Sam's involved. Oh,
I'll do 100.
I'm assuming this means 100 or an agreement. Either that or he's changing his pick to the fire. I'm not sure.
He's playing it safe. This way he can say, and then he's going to drop off all of a sudden. He
wouldn't.
Lost my connection, guys. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. New phone. Who's this? 100 push-ups. Let me talk to my agent.
I'll do 75. I'll do 75 if you want. I'll do 70. I'll do 50. I'll do 50. But I feel like 100 just has a nice ring to it.
Jamal, Randy's talking himself down because he's not sold. So that's. Oh man, you guys are awesome.
You can do 75. I'll do 100. How about that? That's how sold. That's how confident I am.
Wow.
And I'm up by 1 already. I don't need this. I could just say I'm not even. I'll pick the Vikings. We'll just roll there, and I won for the year. I'm trying to. This is how confident I am in this.
Wow. Let's do the total of the score out. Oh, the total of the score outcome.
I like that.
Okay.
Let's do that. That's a great idea.
All right. Total of the score outcome. That's a great idea. I like that, Jamal. Good choice. There we go. That's all figured out.
70-40.
So you do 110 of them?
Yeah, we got to do 110.
All right. Perfect.
What if this is like a 2020 game, but it goes into like 5 overtimes of 5 touchdowns? How pissed are we both going to be?
I'm sure that whoever loses will be very pissed off about that. But I think it makes great. I think it makes for great streaming videos. So watching you guys up there doing the push-ups. So
let's do it. Big Mike, you don't want in on this at all?
No, I pass. Thank you.
Sam?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sam wants in on this?
I would come out of retirement. Yeah. Hey, Jamal, I would like to see you play some ball.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
me too.
Yeah, I'd like to see you play some ball. All right. Well, first and foremost, give a shout out to Jamal. Thank you for being my unofficial producer and stat guy once again. If I lost because I'd be in shape by then. Yeah, that's a true story. Make sure anybody viewers out there, that listened in, thank you again for tuning in. Summer Showcase. We got one episode left. Athletes Forum. Go follow him on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. He puts out videos. He has awesome quick reaction videos that he comes out with at the end of every week. Make sure you're following him. He knows his stuff. He knows his shit. I've learned so much from him. So go make sure you follow him. Shout out all the other guys on Twitter as well. Ryan Fire News, Euroball Chow. I'm sure there's people I'm missing. Fourth Down Fiasco has a great podcast that happens as well. Man, I'm missing some people. I'm definitely missing some people, but go follow them as well. For sure. Yeah, Randy?
How about go watch the championship game if you can?
Yes.
Go support the championship game. It's going to be a great game.
Apparently, I got a new nickname. It's no longer Big Mike. It's now Big French Mike. So, Big French Mike with the flemmer Samon, French accent. Yeah, going on there. Yeah. So, go watch the championship game if you haven't watched an ELF game yet. Make sure you pay. It's like, I don't even know. It's only a couple bucks. I'm sure that's not much at all. Hit it up on the Game Pass. Download the app and make sure you watch yourself. Got a great game because this is definitely two of the top teams in the league, and it's the first meeting between them, and they're both vying for history. They're both vying to become the first team in ELF history to win 2 championships, and somebody's going to do it. So. Shout out to CK Customs for being our unofficial sponsor. If we get a commercial, I'll start playing on all my shows. I don't care. Free publicity. Buy local. Definitely. Support the family because Randy is family. So support them. And then, obviously here Summer Showcase. We got one episode left until next season, but make sure you tune in on Shady Sports Network on YouTube TV, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that little dingy to get the notifications as well. And like I said, ELF has been great. Make sure you watch the game. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great game. I know I'll be glued up. I'll probably get some. It's early morning over here on the East Coast when the game is on, but I still feel like I'm going to probably make some chicken wings for breakfast and eat some chicken wings with it while I watch the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it for breakfast. Little chicken wing breakfast. Maybe I'll fuck around with some flavors and see if I can put together some breakfast flavors for some chicken wings and see if it tastes any good.
Chicken and waffles.
That's what I'm thinking.
You guys do
maybe a little chicken and waffles. So.
Caroline, what did we have the other day? It was
banana
pudding, chicken and waffles.
Oh.
I'll tell you what.
Oh.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Interesting. Banana pudding, chicken and waffles. You ever had that, Jamal? I don't know. I've never had that, but it sounds. Doesn't sound that bad.
It's really good.
I'm
not even a big banana pudding fan, but it was amazing.
I was going to say, Randy's stepping outside of his comfort zone in food and trying some new stuff. That's awesome.
That'll be next on the docket is Big Mike and I talk about food.
Talk about food, yeah. We'll do that. We'll do a little food podcast.
Jack in the Box, Randy, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I have never eaten at Jack in the Box. I need to try it. I had a friend who worked at Jack in the Box. This is very unrelated to football, but I had a friend who worked at Jack in the Box, and he said that when he worked there, and one of the people at the restaurant would like spit in people's food, stomp on things, put it in, and I just, after hearing that,
yeah,
I just don't look at Jack in the Box the same. Don't sue me. I'm sure they're all great. And it was just that one employee, and they're no longer there probably. And Jack in the Box is probably the best fast food on the planet, but I just haven't eaten that.
Yeah, I neither have I, but I don't know anybody that's really I don't blame you after that. Yeah, I definitely don't blame you after that either. So, alrighty. Well, in 2 weeks, we'll be back after the championship game to discuss the championship as well and bring whatever news that we may have, coming out of the championship game. I wanted to mention real quick. I saw that, what did I text you? It was somebody's offensive coordinator was moved on, and Frankfurt's offensive coordinator, and then there was head coach that parted ways, or was it? I don't remember now.
Oh, yeah. Warner. What's his name? Freaking Bjorn Warner left.
The Raiders.
The Thunder.
The Thunder
ownership.
That's right.
Raiders coach left. Okay.
No, the Raiders coach got a 2-year deal. It was an extension.
Interesting.
He signed a 2-year extension with them.
They can give extensions all they want. They need to stop giving extensions to anybody that has any involvement with bringing over 14 quarterbacks every season.
Every year. Whoever is doing that needs to not be extended at all. So.
Yeah, I know it's not. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the coach. Man.
Yeah. The offensive coordinator for Frankfurt, I don't feel like the offense was the problem.
No. I think there's going to be some upheaval in Frankfurt.
Yeah,
more than just a coordinator or two.
Yeah, that's probably a healthy a healthy assessment. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So, man, I'm trying to go back and try to find out where
I'm not trying to break any news here, just from rumblings.
Bjorn Warner. That's right, the co-owner. That was the other one. That's right. Okay. All right. Well, that's good to do it anyways. Another Galaxy makeover on the way. Yeah, I gotta. Oh, new ownership was the main reason. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then.
For who? Frankfurt or the Raiders?
I'm assuming he's talking about Frankfurt.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's a Galaxy makeover, so as well. No, he said new ownership is for the Raiders.
I didn't see that.
Interesting. I didn't see that either. Look at Jamal's dropping news for us here left and right. I missed a few things on the news front. Interesting.
I think I'm well connected in the league, and then I come on here and I'm not even talking with Jamal. He's just in a chat box somewhere in the ether and just spitting out like, that he's like the Adam Schefter. That's what I'm gonna start calling you, man. You're like the Adam Schefter of the EOL.
Call him Jamal Schefter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we could do that. Good old Jamal Schefter. He calls me Big French Mike. I'll call him Jamal Schefter. So.
And I'm Jack in the Box Randy.
Jack in the Box Randy, yeah. New ownership during the Jarvis season, which caused most of the drama.
Gotcha.
Okay. I see. All right. I don't have anything else for tonight. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back for the post-championship game show here on Summer Showcase. And that's it. Enjoy the championship game and make sure you're following it and enjoy it, basically. Do some chicken wings.
Do some chicken and waffles.
Yeah, do some chicken and waffles. Until I see you guys in 2 weeks. And he's Randy Schrader, and I'm Michael Washington. So have a good night.